So the SEC has filed 13 new charges against Binance, the largest crypto trading exchange platform in the entire world. This comes on top of charges that had been filed against them with the CFTC. So let's go ahead and break down what we've got here. This is from the SEC announcement. They say they filed 13 charges against finance entities and the founder here, Changpeng Zhao, who is known as CZ. Charges include operating unregistered exchanges, broker-dealers, and clearing agencies, misrepresenting trading controls and oversight on the Binance.us platform, and the unregistered offer and sale of securities. I'm going to read a little bit more of this, but just as background, recall that Binance has been presenting themselves as they don't have any US customers. They don't appeal to US customers. They did not want to have to deal with the US regulatory regime. They have gone through, and CZ specifically has gone through great lengths to make it so that the company is really like headquartered nowhere so that they can be subject to the laws of effectively no jurisdiction. And so what the US is saying here in part is, we see through your game. Clearly you are offering securities, you're violating a whole host of our laws, and it's very clear cut that you are doing this and you have knowledge of the way that you are violating our own laws. So let me read you a little bit about some of the charges here, Sagar. They say through
Hmm.
13 charges, we allege that CZ and Binance entities engage in an extensive web of deception, conflicts of interest, lack of disclosure, and calculated evasion of the law. This is per SEC Chair Gary Gensler. As alleged, CZ and Binance misled investors about their risk controls and corrupted trading volumes while actively concealing who was actually operating the platform, the manipulative trading of its affiliated market maker, and even where and with whom investor funds and crypto assets were custodied. They attempted to evade US securities laws by announcing sham controls that they disregarded behind the scenes so they could keep high value US customers on their platforms. The public should beware of investing any of their hard earned assets with or on these unlawful platforms. They go on to say, we allege that CZ and the Binance entities not only knew the rules of the road, they also consciously chose to evade them and put their customers and investors at risk, all in an effort to maximize their own profit. And just to give you a sense of how brazen this was, some of the messages that were exchanged among Binance executives make it pretty clear that they knew they were violating the law and they brazenly did it anyway. Go ahead and put this next piece up on the screen from Matt Stoller. So Binance's chief compliance officer in 2018 said, and I quote, "We are operating as an effing unlicensed securities exchange in the USA, bro." So pretty hard to deny that they knew what they were doing, that they knew it was illegal, and that this has been coming for a while. But some of the extent of the charges here, Saga, are still stunning because it's not just them operating as an effing unlicensed security exchange in the USA, but also lying to investors, also pretending that they had these controls in place that they didn't really have. And this fits with some of what was revealed in the previous set of charges, where they were going so far as to, while they're pretending that they don't have US customers on their exchange, they were coaching US citizens on how they could evade detection as being US citizens so that they could continue doing business
Yes.
on the platform. So, I mean, it all appears to be incredibly brazen.
That's the real disaster for them because they specifically say, and this is the US tie-in, that they were working to subvert their own internal controls to allow high net worth Americans and customers to continue to trade on their unregulated international exchange. Their compliance officer has that famous quote where they're saying they're working the unlicensed securities exchange in the US, and that they saw their Binance US as a shield to reveal, retard, and resolve law enforcement targets and to insulate Binance itself. So some of the internal representations of the company are really coming back to bite them. And it really is a real issue because they show that between June of 2018 and July of 2021, they earned $11 billion in revenue, almost all of which came from transaction fees. They say that since its inception, the exchange at first overtly and later furtively worked to entice US customers at the explicit direction of the CEO. And they also say that Zhao himself is the one who ordered the creation of the program to try and help some of these high net worth investors come onto the platform. Now, the real issue why all of this matters is because it is in conjunction with the CFTC also filing similar charges against Binance, saying that they had failed to prevent US customers from accessing it. And this can cause a whole host of issues for the company through the banking system. Because the thing is that, of course, Bitcoin and all of that operates outside of control. But if you want to ever try and convert any of this to cash, you're going to have to touch the banking system. And at least in our current world, the United States has an immense amount of reach through the Treasury Department and through its sanctions regime and through its ability to go after any banking institution in the world that does business with any US institution, can try and ban Binance and its financial assets. So at the very least, they are facing a very serious issue here, with
Oh
the
yeah.
lawsuit, and really, any of their investors and others. This could, create a world where many of them could never like touch U.S. jurisdiction again, which is insane, right? To think about.
Yeah. Oh,
Right.
absolutely. And Binance is vastly larger than FTX, Sam
Hmm.
Bankman-Fried outfit ever was. It's not even close. There are a lot of similarities here in terms of allegations of self-dealing. I mean, most clear cut, the similarity is the fact that you have this one dude who is controlling everything, even as he's pretending pieces of it are independent and has nothing to do with it. In reality, he's making all of the key decisions behind the scenes, operating in this extraordinarily lawless manner, like overtly and intentionally lawless, trying to make sure that the company is not even headquartered anywhere and that its legal structure is so opaque that they think that will protect them from having to face any sort of accountability or being held, liable or having any sort of legal regime apply to them. So you have this, lawless, chaotic, one man band kind of a situation. Now, there are some differences with Binance. You don't have the affiliated, fund the way that you did with FTX and Alameda, but there are some sort of, commonalities here. And it's also interesting the two SBF and CZ were also really rivals. CZ is the one who sort of pushed
Hmm.
SBF over the ledge at the very end here. And now his time in the barrel, I guess, has arrived. So, in terms of the impact on the crypto world, I mean, I think it's hard to underestimate how massive this is, just given how large this platform was and how integral it was to any sort of crypto transactions here or around the world.
Yeah, it's a huge problem. It also has put Coinbase at risk, from what I have read, that they got it was something called a Wells notice from the SEC. They're trying to make sure that they are able to stay away from it. But overall, almost all of the reporting that I've been able to look into, and financial analysts as well, is that the remedy that they could ever come to in this would be a huge hit to Binance, because it would forbid Binance from any offering of trading services, as I said, in the United States. And it would make difficult to do business in the US with really anyone unless it was then registered with the SEC and followed securities rules, which of course would be a huge problem for them. And that's the reason why they were chasing investors and traders here in the United States, because of the size of our market. So overall, it's a major, major problem. And it also reveals, the Wild West nature of what was going on behind the scenes in some of these places. And also why post crash, many of them are not in the same capitalized position to be operating or throwing around the kind of money that they were not just that long ago. And then you're really,
Yeah, that's true.
you're really, revealing what's going on behind the curtains in the middle of the downturn right now.
The last thing I'll say about this is that there was a lot of debate after the downfall of SBF about whether we needed new laws in place to deal with the with crypto and it's sort of like unique challenges. I think that's still an open question, but cases like this seem to indicate you actually have sufficient laws on the books. You just have to
Yes.
actually do the investigation. You have to enforce them. That's been more or less the position of SEC Chair Gary Gensler. You also recall Sam Bankman-Fried was doing a lot of lobbying to make sure that crypto didn't fall under the jurisdiction of the SEC because they felt like there would be stricter scrutiny, that they had more resources to actually go after them for the law breaking that they were engaged in. So there was an explicit effort by him and others to make sure it wasn't under the jurisdiction of the SEC. And Gary Gensler has been pretty forceful in, the last year or so in trying to bring the hammer down and trying to take control over this space and make the SEC the preeminent agency in terms of regulating crypto.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point.
Hey guys, ready or not, 2024 is fully upon us now, and Saagar and I have been brainstorming ways that we can really up our game for this critical election.
Yeah, we rely on our premium subs to expand our coverage, to add staff, to upgrade the studio. We just want to give you the best independent coverage of this election, which is possible. So if you can help us out, become a premium subscriber today, breakingpoints.com, or the link is down here in the description video. It really means the world to us, and if you like what we're all about, this is the best possible way to keep us 100% independent, working only for you.